Right now, there is a habit hiding in your own kitchen that may be wearing down your kidneys one glass at a time. And the unsettling part is that it probably feels responsible, disciplined, even healthy. You wake up, rinse a pill down with a few sips, stay busy for hours, ignore the faint dryness in your mouth, then suddenly drink a large tumbler before lunch and tell yourself you are doing fine. Later, to avoid bathroom trips, you slow down again. By evening, standing under the yellow light above the sink, you pour another glass, maybe two, and assume water could never be the problem. But after 60, your body plays by different rules. Thirst becomes less reliable. Certain blood pressure medicines and water pills change how fluid moves through you. Your kidneys, which depend on a steady flow like delicate roots drawing moisture from soil, can be stressed not only by too little water, but by the pattern, timing, and volume swings of how you drink it. That is the part almost nobody explains clearly. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you the daily drinking mistakes that quietly raise the risk of dehydration, stones, confusion, and kidney trouble after 60, and exactly how to protect yourself starting today without falling for dangerous one-size-fits-all advice. Most people think this problem is simple. Drink less water, you get dehydrated. Drink more water, you fix it. Clean equation, case closed. But that neat little story falls apart the moment you look at real life. Picture an ordinary morning. You wake before sunrise, your mouth feels slightly dry, the bathroom light is too bright, and the first thing you notice is that your urine looks darker than it used to. So you promise yourself you will drink more later. Then breakfast happens. A phone call comes in. Maybe there is a doctor appointment, maybe laundry, maybe a grandchild needs a ride. Noon arrives before your second full glass. By then, your kidneys have already spent hours working with less fluid than they would prefer, concentrating urine, trying to hold on to water, adjusting salt balance, and preserving blood pressure as best they can. According to major health institutions, older adults are more vulnerable because total body water tends to be lower with age. Thirst cues can become less dependable, and medicines such as diuretics can increase fluid loss. That means the old rule of trusting thirst alone becomes much riskier after 60. There is a reason for this, and it begins with a change most people never notice until the consequences arrive. The surface level problem is not that you forgot a bottle of water on the counter. It is that your whole day may be built around long, dry stretches, followed by quick catch-up drinking. To your kidneys, that is not smooth support. It is fluctuation. It is instability. It is a repeated swing between conservation mode and overload mode, especially when illness, heat, or medications are added to the picture. But here is where things take a turn most people never see coming. Many people over 60 are not drinking too little because they are careless. They are doing it on purpose. They limit fluids because they are tired of getting up at night, worried about leakage, afraid of not finding a restroom while driving, or convinced that a few cups of coffee and a bowl of soup cover everything. In just a moment, I will show you why that logic feels sensible on the surface and still creates a risk most families never see until the lab work changes. The numbers tell a story most people do not want to hear. Older adults often drink less plain water than younger adults, and at the exact same time, they are more likely to live with conditions that make steady hydration harder to maintain. Think about a pharmacy counter on a Tuesday afternoon. A woman in her late 60s picks up blood pressure medicine, something for swelling in her ankles, maybe medication for diabetes, and a refill for overactive bladder symptoms. None of this means she is doing anything wrong. It means her margin for error is smaller. A few years ago, researchers and public health experts began paying closer attention to hydration patterns in older adults and found a pattern that keeps resurfacing. Lower intake, weaker thirst signals, more medications, more hot weather sensitivity, and more complications when dehydration sets in. NIH reporting on hydration and aging has even pointed to an association between poorer hydration markers and faster biological aging, alongside greater risk for chronic disease. That does not mean every dry afternoon is a disaster. It does mean the body keeps score. Keep that in mind, because it connects to a mistake many smart people make without realizing it. They assume the answer is to force down a lot of water whenever they remember, or to chase an old myth that everyone needs the exact same amount every single day. Most people believe they already know the answer to this. Most people are wrong. The truth is more precise than that. Healthy hydration is about the right amount for your body, your medications, your activity, your weather, and your kidney function. For someone with advanced kidney disease or heart problems, blindly pushing huge amounts of water can be unsafe. For someone taking water pills, sweating outside, or recovering from stomach illness, the need may go up. That is why a rigid rule can mislead people in both directions. Too little creates concentrated urine, strain, stone risk, dizziness, and confusion. Too much, too fast, in the wrong person can dilute sodium, worsen swelling, and create fluid overload. The deeper problem is not ignorance. It is false confidence. Water feels innocent, so people assume their pattern cannot matter very much. And if you think that was alarming, the next point is even more critical. To understand why, we need to look at what is actually happening at the cellular level. Your kidneys are not passive storage tanks. They are more like two finely tuned river locks, opening and closing microscopic gates all day long to control how much water stays in your body, how much leaves, and what happens to sodium, potassium, acids, and waste along the way. When fluid arrives steadily, blood can move through those filters with less drama. Waste is washed out more smoothly. Urine stays less concentrated. Crystals are less likely to clump together into stones. The biology behind this is fascinating, and I promise to make it simple. Imagine a garden irrigation system feeding delicate roots. If the soil receives a gentle, regular flow, the roots stay alive and balanced. If the ground stays dry for hours and then gets blasted with a sudden flood, some water runs off, the distribution changes, and stress builds. The kidney is, of course, far more sophisticated than a garden, but the principle helps. During dehydration, blood volume drops. The body answers by releasing hormones that tell the kidneys to conserve water. Urine output falls. Urine gets darker and more concentrated. If this becomes severe, the kidneys may get less blood flow than they need, and that is when real trouble can begin. Mayo Clinic and Cleveland Clinic guidance both warn that prolonged or repeated dehydration can contribute to kidney stones and even kidney failure in more serious cases. Now add aging to that picture. Older adults may not feel thirsty until dehydration is already underway. Some also lose water faster in urine. Some are taking medications that shift fluid balance. Some are trying to avoid nighttime urination, so they underdrink all afternoon and evening. Before I get to the changes that protect your kidneys, you need to understand one more hidden mechanism first. When kidneys are already impaired, the opposite danger can appear. They may struggle to remove excess fluid efficiently, which is why some people with advanced kidney disease are told to limit fluids rather than increase them. That is why the advice must be smart, not extreme. So the question becomes, if your body is constantly trying to defend itself from both dryness and overload, what does a kidney-safe drinking pattern actually look like? Now let me bring this out of the laboratory and into the rooms where life actually happens. Picture your kitchen at breakfast. A slice of toast pops up. A pill organizer clicks open. You swallow medicine with 3 mouthfuls of water, then move on. Hours later, you are at the grocery store beneath cold fluorescent lights, pushing a cart past citrus fruit and soup cans, and you suddenly realize you have had almost nothing else to drink. By that point, fatigue may feel like aging, a slight headache may feel like poor sleep, and a little brain fog may feel like stress. But sometimes those are early hydration signals hiding in plain sight. Then evening arrives. You sit down at a family dinner, realize you are behind, and start pouring glass after glass because you are trying to make up for the day. This is the pattern that traps so many people. The answer involves a part of your day most people never suspect. It is not just what you drink. It is when, how steadily, and under what conditions. Research and clinical guidance consistently show that water helps the kidneys remove waste, helps blood vessels stay open so blood can reach the kidneys, and helps lower the risk of concentrated urine that encourages stones. Yet none of that works as well when intake is bunched into careless bursts separated by long gaps. Another hidden problem is relying on the wrong beverages. Sugary drinks add calories with little nutritional value. Alcohol can make fluid balance worse. Caffeine in moderate amounts is not the villain many people imagine, but it is still a mistake to treat coffee as a complete replacement for water if the rest of the day is dry. Then there is illness. A minor stomach bug, a fever, a blistering afternoon walk, or even a long car ride with the heat running can shift you from mildly underhydrated to significantly depleted faster than you expect. I know this sounds overwhelming, so let me slow down for a moment. The daily meaning of all this is very practical. If you are waiting until you feel obviously thirsty, faint, or deeply fatigued, you may already be late. If you are drinking most of your fluids after dinner, you are asking your body to catch up at the worst possible time. This next part is the reason I decided to make this in the first place. So let us talk plainly about what to stop doing, because some of these habits are sold as common sense when they are anything but. Stop treating thirst as your only alarm bell. After 60, thirst can lag behind your actual needs. If you wait for a strong thirst signal every time, you may spend much of the day running slightly behind. Stop deliberately restricting fluids all afternoon because you are worried about bathroom trips, leakage, or the inconvenience of stopping while you are out. The National Institute on Aging makes an important point that many people miss. Drinking enough fluids matters for bladder health too, and some people need guidance tailored to their conditions rather than simply drinking less and hoping for the best. That is a major distinction. Stop trying to erase hours of underdrinking with a flood of water at night. It may leave you up repeatedly, interrupt sleep, and still fail to create the stable hydration pattern your kidneys prefer. Stop assuming every situation calls for the same amount. Hot weather, fever, vomiting, diarrhea, outdoor activity, and certain medicines can raise needs. Advanced kidney disease or heart failure can lower the safe amount, which is why a personalized target from your clinician matters if you live with those issues. Stop using only urine frequency as your guide. Some people think frequent trips always mean they are drinking too much, but urgency can come from bladder irritation, caffeine, infection, medications, or aging changes in bladder tissue. Now here is a question I want you to honestly answer in your own mind. How often have you reduced water, not because your body needed less, but because your day felt easier that way? A long church service, a movie, a drive across town, an afternoon in the garden, a crowded waiting room. Every one of those moments can teach the body a harmful pattern if it happens day after day. Historical medical advice often leaned too heavily on simplistic rules, but more recent guidance recognizes that hydration and kidney safety are deeply individual. And this is exactly why waiting is not an option. If the pattern has been dryness all day and heavy drinking at night, if the pattern has been dark urine by noon and fatigue by 3, if the pattern has been ignoring illness or heat, then the correction needs to start with rhythm, not panic. But here is the good news, and this is where everything changes. What should you do instead? Start with steadiness. That word matters. Build gentle hydration into the architecture of your day so your kidneys are not being surprised over and over. Put a glass by the sink and drink some water soon after waking, especially before the day starts racing. Have another with breakfast. Sip again late morning. Drink with lunch. Take a few steady sips through the afternoon instead of disappearing into a long, dry stretch. Then ease off gradually in the late evening if nighttime urination is a major issue, unless your doctor has given you different instructions. That pattern is usually kinder than starvation all day and a flood at bedtime. As one practical standard, many clinicians tell patients to aim for urine that is more pale straw than dark amber, while remembering that vitamins and medications can change color too. Add water-rich foods when you can. Soup, fruit, yogurt, cucumber, melon, and vegetables count toward hydration. If you take diuretics, have diabetes, live with kidney disease, or have had stones before, ask your clinician the question most people never ask clearly. What is my safe daily fluid goal, and does it change in heat or illness? That single conversation can prevent years of guessing. Take a breath. What comes next is actually going to give you real hope. If you get sick with vomiting, diarrhea, or fever, do not rely on stubbornness. Increase fluids as appropriate and seek medical advice sooner because dehydration can escalate quickly in older adults. If you notice confusion, very low urine, rapid heartbeat, severe dizziness, or an inability to keep fluids down, that is not a wait-and-see situation. Let me ask you something. After hearing all of this, what is the one thing you are going to change starting tonight? Tell me below. Sometimes the most protective move is beautifully ordinary. Carrying water in the car, serving it with meals, keeping it visible on the counter, and linking it to routines you already trust, like medication times or your afternoon walk. In just a moment, I am going to leave you with the truth I wish every person over 60 heard before their kidneys started sending distress signals. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Your kidneys do not need heroic acts from you. They need consistency, attention, and respect. They are working right now, silently, faithfully, filtering your blood while you read, while the house hums around you, while the coffee cools on the counter, while the evening light fades across the dining room table. And yet they can only protect you with the resources you give them. Too little fluid for too long can reduce blood flow, concentrate urine, and raise the risk of stones, dizziness, confusion, and kidney injury. Too much in the wrong body can cause trouble too. That is why the real lesson is not drink more no matter what. The real lesson is drink wisely, drink earlier, drink steadily, adjust for heat, illness, medications, and medical conditions. Ask questions instead of guessing. Notice what your body is telling you before it has to shout. Think about the people who love you. The daughter who wants you sharp at the dinner table. The grandson who wants you at the ball field smiling in the sun. The friend who assumes you are fine because you say you are just tired. So much suffering begins with tiny misunderstandings repeated for years. I am Dr. Thomas Ellison, and if I sound urgent, it is because I have seen how often preventable problems are dismissed as normal aging until they are not normal at all. You are not helpless here, not even close. You can change the rhythm of your day. You can protect your kidneys before the warning signs become a crisis. You can stop treating water like an afterthought and start treating it like the quiet medicine it has always been, used correctly and with common sense. Share this with someone who still thinks dark urine, constant fatigue, and late-day ketchup drinking are harmless habits. Because once you understand the